Hi guys, Miss Moore here. And in today's links lesson video, we are going to talk about creating and drafting a resume. So first and foremost, it's important to know that a resume you use in high school will be different than a resume you use in the professional workforce. Regardless, a resume is supposed to be a showcase of you. It's supposed to represent your skills, your abilities, your work ethic, what you bring to the table. A resume basically answers the question, what makes you a good candidate for a program or a job or a position within a company, etc. So a high school resume should showcase your education, including your concentration that you are completing in. You should include your volunteer experience, community service hours, extracurriculars that you might be a part of, including clubs, sports, after-school programs like theater, etc. Additionally, if you hold an office or a position within them, you might want to make that note on there. Awards and honors, as well as recognition, is something you want to put on a high school resume, including honor roll principals list. If you've gotten first, second, third, fourth, even honorable mentions. And lastly, you're going to want to put some references on here, people who can speak to your character and your abilities moving forward in life. So I'm going to share with you all my personal high school resume. Thank you, Ms. Marks, for making me do this. On my high school resume, I started off by listing the career field that I wanted to go into. At this point in time, I wanted to be a physician anesthesiologist. After a ton of research, I decided that was not the career field for me. So like I said, you're going to want to showcase your education. I had been taking AP and honors classes, so I made a note of that on here, which would put me on the liberal arts track. Additionally, I took early insurance classes through Eastern Community and Technical College here at high school. By this point, I had completed 4 courses and would be completing another set of classes and would have had my first year of college complete by the time I left high school. I, at this point in time, did have work experience. I had worked at Chloe's Sugar Shack. Not all students will have a work experience to put on here. I noted the year and date that I was employed, as well as some of the responsibilities that I held in that career. Then I put on here special skills that I had. I had my boating safety certification, I had a food handler's card, I had my hunter safety education, and I was CPR certified. So then, like I said, I put my volunteer experience on here. I had done Adopt a Highway. I had helped at the Tucker County Fair. I'd cleaned windows for a neighbor, done lawn mowing, moved boxes at Camp Horseshoe, and helped with the Kiwanis Corn Dog stand. I did not put any of my extracurriculars or honors and awards on here simply because a resume is supposed to exude what you want it to portray. And at that point in time, I really just wanted to speak to my skills and abilities as far as my education and work went. So last on my high school resume was my references. I had used Mrs. Marks and Mr. Stout, who were 2 of my former teachers. And then a personal reference was my neighbor, Judith Parsons, which you will see is still on my professional resume. So like I said, a professional resume is quite different than a resume that you will use in high school. So just some tidbits before I get into this in depth. A resume that you are using in the professional workforce should be kept to 1 page. If it goes on to 2, that's okay, but potential employers see multiple resumes a day, and it's best if you can keep it to 1 page. That way they can see everything that you bring to the table in one look. So you can see on this one, I've got my name right here at the top, big bold letters. I want potential employers to know my name. That's the first thing I want them to recognize. Over here, blacked out, is all of my contact information. Again, that's my email, my cell phone number, my address. I always want to make sure that this contact information is up to date so that potential employers can get a hold of you. Next, I showcase my education. In the education, you start from old and work down to most recent. I started at Tucker County High School. I took Eastern classes. I took 2 courses at D&E through the Upward Bound program. Of course, I moved on to Fairmont State University, where I got my Bachelor of Science, and now I'm currently at Marshall University Graduate College. You can see on here that I put the dates that I was enrolled or am currently enrolled in. And with this one, if you haven't graduated from an educational institution, you'll want to put on here when your expected graduation date is. So then you move on to unemployment, and unemployment is the opposite of your education. Your employment should start with your most recent and go to your oldest. So my most recent, of course, is here at the high school working as the school counselor. You can see I've marked on here 2019 present. Additionally, I put some of the duties, the responsibilities, those things that I am responsible to do in my day-to-day job. This just kind of showcases the skills that you're taking into a new potential job. Worked with D&E Upward Bound program. I continue to do so. I've worked with them for several years and will continue to do so in the future. Some jobs that I had in college and right out of high school, I worked with Mount State Honey Company for 2 summers. It's always important to put jobs on your resume, even if they may seem insignificant, simply because this shows employers that you have a work history. You've got a work ethic, they've seen that you work, and they're more willing to hire you because they know that you work, okay? Last but not least on here is my references. So, of course, Judy Parsons is still on here. She is my neighbor. I've known her for several years, and she has kind of seen me become a different person than I was when I was younger. I have Katie Dillon and Allison Shields on here. They're my former bosses at Upward Bound, my coworkers as well. And then, of course, my current boss is Mr. Cosner, and I have him as a reference on here as the high school principal. You always want to make sure that their phone number and their contact information is up to date. So guys, thanks for listening. As always, if you have questions, comments, or concerns, please contact me on the TCHS Counselors Facebook page or at tchscounseling.com. I hope that this video has been informational and helpful and wasn't too rocky along the way. Please give me some feedback if possible, and I look forward to making one for tomorrow on drafting a cover letter that will accompany your resume. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.